Hello, everyone. This is Charm City Decoded. I am your host, Sophina Turner. I welcome you all back. We're going to be discussing today the Negro Motorist Green Book. Now, I know you're probably wondering what that is. I recently just found out about this book, so I thought I will share it with everyone and so I can enlighten, just in case you may not be aware of it, that it exists. It's the reason for this. I'm gonna give you a little backstory to it. Uh, the Negro Motorist Green Book was a guidebook for African American travelers that provided a list of hotels, boarding houses, taverns, restaurants, service stations, and other establishments throughout the country that served African American patrons. Victor H. Green and his wife Alma published it annually from 1936 to 1966, when discrimination against African Americans was widespread. During this period, African Americans faced racial prejudice, price gouging, and physical violence while traveling around the United States. The information included in the Negro Motorist Green Book helped increase their safety and treatment. Okay, so again, this book was created and published by Mr. Victor Green and his wife Alma. Okay, now a little bit about Mr. Victor Green. Mr. Victor Green was a Harlem-based postal carrier. Okay, who, like most African Americans in the mid 20th century, had grown weary of the discrimination blacks faced whenever they ventured outside their neighborhoods. This guide helped Black Americans indulge and travel without fear. And there's so many volumes to this book. We have the Negro Motorist Green Book 1947. We have Railroad Edition 1951. We have an Airline Edition 1953. We have International Edition 1955. And it just goes on and on and on. And I'm going to tell you, me locating this information was off of me piggybacking off of focusing on the month of May. What can I discuss with y'all for the month of May? Okay, today is May the 2nd of 2022. And I'm trying to see what can I do to enlighten you and hopefully encourage you, to go ahead and research history, out your history. Black America history, America itself history, but definitely African American history. Okay, if you're African American, and even if you're not, it just helps us all to understand who we are, where we come from, and what our people have endured. So that's led me to finding about the Negro Motorist Green Book. But before I even found that, I'm like, this is the month of May. What can I discuss with them? And I said, I just I just looked up certain events that happened in the month of May. And it started in 1896 and I ended in 1990. Okay? So let me go over a few things that I have found. The first thing I found was May the 18th, 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson. They call this separate but equal. And, for public facilities for blacks. Of course, back then, it was, the start of the Jim Crow era was 1865, once the Emancipation Proclamation was signed and allegedly freed all slaves, and we know that wasn't totally true, but that's when it started, right? 1865. So, of course, 1896 is a part of that era. Okay, so, after you have the Civil War, and then you have the Reconstruction era. And a part of the Reconstruction era, you had a lot of black people who were allowed to become, congressmen, do different things. they was not able to do throughout the Reconstruction period. And then you got the Klan that was formed, the KKK. Because a lot of black whites had an uprising when it came down to, them believing that blacks are not worthy to hold office or to have anything that they have, any type of comfortability that they are experiencing throughout life, any joys that they are experiencing throughout life. They think it's only supposed to be secluded to them back then. Okay, so that's when Plessy, I believe his name is Homer Adolph Plessy. He actually tried, he sued. He didn't win, but at least he tried and that's when they came to say that separate but equal. Okay? And we're going to give them a school, but they're not going to have the same books that our children have. We can give them teachers, but they're going to learn what we want them to know, not what's facts. You got the public restaurants. You can buy food from the restaurant, but you just can't sit in it. You can't come through the front door. But they still want your greenbacks, your money. You can't have what lot books we have in our libraries. You can't have that in yours. You get the throwaways. So all of that came about with the Plessy versus Fergus. Then you have 1925, May the 8th of 1925. A. Philip Randolph. He was a part of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, which he founded. He was a labor leader, plus civil rights activist. He founded the first black labor union, which is Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. That was A. Philip Randolph, May the 8th, 1925. He got tired of them being treated the way they've been treated. They have worked long hours and receive low wages, less pay than what their white counterparts was receiving and working. So they said, forget this. We're going to form our own union. Excuse me, I got to plug in. We're going to form our own union. And with him forming this union, again, Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, he became well known. This union, this organization became well known. And they start receiving better wages with lower hours. So that was created by A. Philip Randolph, 1925, May 8th, 1925. Then we have May the 17th, 1954, Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, which overturned legal school segregation at all levels. Thurgood Marshall was the prosecutor, him and his associates. They took it to the Supreme Court, and they beat that case. So no more segregation in the school systems. It was now integrated. Some will say that may not have been a good thing. Some say they believe they deserve it. They have every right to get the education, the same education that the white children are receiving. The black children deserve that too. So then we move on to May the 1st through October the 1st of 1967. Now, this was called the worst summer for racial disturbances in United States history during this time frame. More than 40 riots and 100 other disturbances occurred. more than 40 riots and 100 disturbances had occurred. It was in the year of 1967, from May the 1st through October the 1st. Then that moves us to May the 29th, 1973. Now, I'm in love with the date of May the 29th because that's my day. I'm sorry. My year is in the 1970s as well. I don't need to date myself, but my birthday is May the 29th. So this is a good day right here. And we're going to, Mr. Thomas Bradley was elected the first black mayor of Atlanta. Mr. Thomas Bradley, 1973. Then it moves us to May 18th, 1980. Again, racial disturbances beginning on May the 17th resulted in 15 deaths in Miami, Florida, which was the worst riot since those in Watts and Detroit in the 1960s. Then that takes us to May the 23rd, 1982. We have Lee P. Brown, who was named the first black police commissioner of Houston, Texas. Lee P. Brown, the first black police commissioner in Houston, Texas. And that led us to 1990, May the 13th. George Augustus Stallings became the first bishop of the African American Catholic Church, a breakaway group from the Roman Catholic Church. Okay. George Augustus Stallings, the first bishop of the African American Catholic Church. Now, when it comes down to religion, I was raised a Baptist / Christian, if you want to call that. And I know I put that sometimes. I had put that. I haven't put it in a long while on some of my paperwork when I go to a hospital. But, let's be real with it. Religion is a man-made, institution. You have all these different names when it comes down to religion. Now, I'm a person of faith. I believe in the Almighty God. I believe in that higher power, the one that created all things. So don't get that twisted. But we know that anything that man has created, it has its imperfections. Let me just say that. But to get back to on topic, I just thought that this green book, this Negro Motorist Green Book, something I had no clue existed, is a real treat to me. It really, really was. And it just helped me I'm glad that our people, just like the Underground Railroad that Harriet Tubman created, a segue into going from enslaved to freedom. Going from being mistreated and abused or even killed to safe travels. I can't help but think about us as a people and how everything we have been throughout history and where we're standing at today is just astounding to me. Because I think about I think about all that has happened over the decades and what has happened recently You know, I say over the past several years, you know, you have George Floyd with the police officer who put his knee on his neck that killed him. They killed him intentionally in cold blood. You know, you have your Ahmaud Arbery. You know, you have your uh, Trayvon Martin, young man just walking home from the store. And just because he looked different to this person who thought he was a criminal, he was killed. And, you know, you have Breonna Taylor sleeping in her home, in her bed, get shot up by the police. Innocently, by the way. Had nothing to do with nothing to what they was really there for. You know, you have Ahmaud Arbery just jogging through a neighborhood because he just loved running. And they labeled him a thief, a criminal. And you would say they made him into a hostage because they didn't allow him to leave the neighborhood. And then they killed him. You know, and the list just goes on and on and on and on. It's just crazy. You know? Now, can I say things has changed from us being enslaved people, you know, to through the Jim Crow era, being victimized, brutalized, raped, murdered, to now? Yeah, I would say yes. Yes, things has changed somewhat. It has improved to some degree. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you like I am if it didn't. I wouldn't work in the field that I'm in, where I'm working at. That wouldn't be. I wouldn't live, I would say, in a decent neighborhood. You know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a very poor neighborhood because it's not. You know, it's a decent, quiet neighborhood. But I also live every day with this skin tone. So I see a difference in how someone who look like me can achieve versus someone who look like Becky. I'm just saying. It's definitely an imbalance. You have racial tension all across the globe. You have systemic racism plaguing Mother Earth. You have structures that have been formed decades, centuries ago, and it's hard to break through and break free of it. I'm not saying you can't achieve and you can't obtain anything you want, but will it be on the same? Can it be on the same level? As the ones who created this systemic racism in the first place? Nah. For one, we forgot what unity was. If we can come together and is willing to be informed or learn about your past, where you come from, who you are. History is important. You need that knowledge and that wisdom to help cure your destruction. Uplift yourself. Put it in your mind that I am worthy. I'm worthy of anything and everything that my heart desires, just like anyone else. That's important. It is. I was listening to someone yesterday, and they spoke about. Let me see if I can remember correctly because it's important. When it comes down to the village, I always say that we need that village. How it used to be, where it seemed like neighbors and family and friends all around in the neighborhood watched out for each other's children, protected, guided, loved on, even disciplined if need be, and took them to their mom or their dad or whomever that was their guardian, and let them know what they done and what they saw them do or say. To help mold them into being decent people. But it's more to it than just that. I want to be listening to what I was listening to yesterday. You have to really understand self, know who you are, stand up for who you are, believe in that person that you are, that character that helps you to define yourself, and use that in a way that will help your children to grow. And you got to focus in on yourself first, so you can be there to help groom and guide and love and encourage and teach the ones that's coming up after you. You're going to have experiences that goes along with all of that you can share too. That's important. Be that instrument of good. And hopefully that will encourage your children or anyone else that may look up to you to be their best self as well. So it starts with self. So that's important. But I want to leave you with, I was also, and the person I'm talking about, is Dr. Joy. Dr. Joy is her name. It's just so much that's in my mind. I'm sorry if I be pausing and DeGrew. It's Dr. Joy DeGrew is her name, and that's someone that you also can look up on YouTube, and because she does a lot of speeches, and she also teaches, and she's a professor. and at a university. And I mean, I just I do a lot of listening to a lot of speakers, um, doctors, professors, or normal folks. It don't even matter. I just try to learn from anyone and everyone that I can learn from that I think is helpful for me and my being and my knowledge and my wisdom. And I like to share it with anyone who's willing to listen. So I want to share with you my motto. My motto is I live my life to encourage others. This is my motto. So try to find a motto of your own. I saw this on Facebook today. And motto. And I'm like, what is my motto? And I had to think about it. And when I think about what I'm trying to do here with this platform, I want to encourage. So if I can encourage another to follow their dream, to learn about their history, to love on themselves, to love on their family, to be a protector, to, even if it means like changing careers because where you at, you feel like you're just not happy there. Anything and everything that I can to encourage you to do better and be happy while doing it. That's what I'm here for. So I'm going to leave you with that. My name is Sophina Turner. I am the host of Charm City Decoded podcast. And I bid you good night.